I rented a boyfriend online to bring home for the new year. When I arrived at the agreed location, instead of my rented boyfriend, it was my boss. Lynn read. In that moment, all I wanted to do was run away. But Lynn Red had already spotted me. I was wearing the hairpin we had agreed upon earlier. He looked at me with surprise, then glanced at the hairpin and said, "Heavenly King Guy D. Tiger." I replied, "The client is 1.5 meters. We both fell silent. I still remember that just before the New Year's holiday, this very person had severely criticized me. He said the project was very important, and I had already been given a chance. If I didn't do it well this time, I would be fired. I was trembling. It's not that I'm scared. Lynn Red is the youngest executive at our company, and he has very high standards. Almost everyone is a bit intimidated by him. On top of that, he's a bit of a freak. His business skills and emotional management are outstanding, and apart from his bad temper, there's really nothing to criticize. That's our private evaluation of him, both powerful and terrifying." And now, the source of my nightmares was standing right in front of me, in the guise of my temporary boyfriend. Oh, the heavens are conspiring against me. Lynn Red adjusted his glasses. "You're the one who rented a boyfriend on the app." His tone was like he was saying, "You're the one who leaked company secrets to the competition." I whispered, "Yes, but the user who took my request was called Big Chess First." Lynn Red looked reluctant. "It's me." I was both scared and wanted to laugh. "So what do we do now? What are your rental requirements?" "Come back to my hometown with me for the new year. Pretend to be my boyfriend and meet my parents. Payment is daily, and you work 1 day at a time." Lynn Red fell into deep thought. Then, unexpectedly, he said, "Okay, later." I found out why Lynn Red agreed. He was being pressured about marriage and didn't dare go home, and was worried about what to do for the new year. His good friend offered to help him out. His friend took my request on the virtual dating app, without telling him the details, only saying it would help him avoid matchmaking and marriage pressure. Lynn Red thought he only needed to pretend to be a boyfriend for 1 day, take a few photos together, and send them to his elders to deal with it. He didn't expect I would ask to go back to my hometown. When he thought about it, it was actually a good opportunity to completely escape from matchmaking. So he agreed. The turn of events was unexpected. On the way home, I quietly opened the dating app, and messaged, "Big Chess First, what's going on, buddy? Was it your friend who showed up?" Big Chess First, yeah, surprised, unexpected. Me, this is a scam, isn't it? Big Chess First, I'm 181 centimeters tall. My friend is 185 centimeters, and you gain 4 centimeters? Isn't that good enough? Big Chess First, besides, we haven't really chatted before, and we didn't exchange photos. You can just think of it as him taking your request. There's no difference. Me, but, Big Chess First, Miss Fairy, I'm also very helpless. Even though my friend looks cold, he's actually very miserable. He's almost 30 and still single, and if no one wants him, he'll have to become a monk." Sob, sob, sob. Seeing this, I couldn't help but sneak a glance at Lynn Red. He caught my eye and said, "Ruth Warner, did you bring your notebook home?" "Yes, your project proposal needs to be redone from scratch." "Don't say I didn't warn you." Lynn Red, if it's not done well this time, the company will find someone to replace you. Think carefully." On the app, Big Chess First's friend was still lamenting Lynn Reed's misery. I replied angrily, "If no one wants your friend, shouldn't he look at himself first?" Even though I was angry, Lynn Red was very professional. He bought local specialties and fruits. When meeting my parents, he instantly switched to a sweet tone, calling them auntie and uncle very sweetly. I was dumbfounded. Who has seen such a pure and lovely Lynn Red before? My parents didn't suspect anything, and were very pleased. "Little Wong, it's finally nice to meet you. You're so tall and handsome." "Little Wong." I nudged him from behind to make him respond. My mom added, "Little Wong looks like a decent young man. Our precious one's taste is really good." "Precious one." I nudged him again. "That's my childhood nickname." Lynn Red quickly responded, "Meeting you both today, I see where our precious one's excellence comes from, clearly inherited." My parents were won over and couldn't stop smiling. With his quick wit, I felt relieved. He would definitely help me get through this holiday safely. But it turned out I was too early in my relief. After dinner, standing by the bedroom door, Lynn Red suddenly asked, "Which room should I sleep in?" I froze. I almost forgot that my parents' house is very small. A 2-bedroom, 1 living room place, 1 room for the elders, 1 room for me. My mom walked over with a smile. "Little Wang, we don't have a guest room. You can share a room with our precious one tonight." "Mom," I panicked. "This won't work." "What do you suggest?" "It's not right to make little Wang sleep in the living room." My mom, who is usually blunt, said nonchalantly, "You've been dating for 3 years. Isn't this the time to discuss marriage? We'll just squeeze a bit, and tomorrow I'll buy a folding bed." She slammed the door shut behind her, leaving Lynn Red and me staring at each other. I hurried to explain. My mom didn't believe I'd really bring a boyfriend home, so she didn't prepare in advance. Lynn Red laughed all day, probably with a stiff face by now, and returned to his impersonal demeanor. "Tell me, what's the deal with little Wang?" He sat down at my desk, and I automatically stood straight, as if reporting work. Little Wang was my ex-boyfriend. We dated for 3 years. We were supposed to come home and meet my parents this year, but he cheated. I sneaked a glance at Lynn Red, and saw him frown slightly. I was nervous, unsure if I had said something wrong. And then, my parents noticed I was upset. They guessed I broke up and even advised me to quit my job and go back home. I didn't want them to worry, so I lied to them. "Lynn Red, so you rented a boyfriend?" "Yes, Ruth Warner. I suggest you tell the truth. You can't keep hiding it from them forever." I had fallen back into my old habit. Every time he said my full name, I'd get a bit nervous. Let's just get through the new year first and tell them later." Lynn Red stared at me, silent. His silence made the atmosphere even more oppressive. I was sweating with anxiety, not knowing what I had done wrong, but instinctively panicking. After an unknown amount of time, he said, "Are you afraid of me?" Lynn Red ended up sleeping on the floor. I felt bad, making the boss sleep on the floor, but he refused to switch with me. If I had known tonight would be so unforgettable, I would have preferred to sleep on the street. Before taking a shower, Lynn Red asked me if I had an extra towel, because he had forgotten to bring one. As I was laying out a blanket, I casually mentioned, "There's a new one in the drawer under the bay window." When he opened the drawer, Lynn Red seemed to be frozen as if someone had pressed pause. "Where is it?" "Just look around. It might be at the bottom." "Look." He hesitated. I turned around, didn't find it. Before I could finish, I was stunned. The whole drawer was filled with underwear. At the top, there were lace ones. Below were chiffon, rhinestone ones. It was blinding. Lynn Red had already averted his gaze. "Forget it if it's not there." "It's there. It's there." I quickly pushed the drawer back, my face burning. Maybe my mom reorganized it and changed the location. Cough cough. As expected, I found the towel on the other side. After Lynn Red finished his shower, he smelled fresh and didn't have those tiny wire-framed glasses that seemed glued to his face. I had heard he was severely myopic, so I took several bold looks. Without glasses, he seemed much gentler than usual. "So he has double eyelids. His skin is quite good. I wonder how he maintains it." I stared for a long time, and Lynn Red suddenly turned his head. "Had enough of looking." "How did you know I was looking at you?" Lynn Red sneered. "Do you think I'm blind? But aren't you severely myopic?" "Who said that?" He placed his glasses in front of me. The lenses were thin, not severe myopia. "Also, didn't anyone tell you? Even if you're severely myopic, it doesn't mean you're blind." I was extremely embarrassed. So he saw all my intrusive glances. Following the principle that more words lead to more mistakes, I quickly dove under the covers, not wanting to say another word. But how could I sleep? When the lights were off, every little sound in the darkness was magnified. My bedroom isn't big, and the floor mat is right next to the bed. Lynn Reed's breathing constantly reminded me that there was a man in the room, and he's my terrifying boss. It was suffocating. I didn't dare to talk to him, just stared at the ceiling, staring until late at night. I finally began to feel sleepy, but soon, I needed to use the bathroom. I carefully got up, and to reach the door, I had to pass by Lynn Red. His breathing was very light, so he should be asleep. As I tried to sneak past him, I tripped over something on the floor. I stumbled and fell directly on him. Lynn Red woke up. Ruth Warner. He gritted his teeth. I'm sorry. I just wanted to go to the bathroom. Get your hand off me. Hey. Hand. My hand. Oh, I felt it. My hand was resting in an inappropriate place. I jumped up in fright as if shot from a cannon, but my balance was off, and I stumbled again. This time, my face ended up in the same place. The next morning, both Lynn Red and I had huge dark circles under our eyes. My parents had left early, leaving just us at home. The atmosphere was tense as we didn't speak to each other. In the afternoon, a notification popped up in the neighborhood group. According to the Epidemic Prevention and Control Command, our neighborhood will be under lockdown starting now. Please cooperate by staying at home. Community workers are sealing the doors. I was stunned. Lockdown. Right now. I called my mom, but she told me that both she and my dad had been called for emergency shifts at the hospital and couldn't come back. This meant Lynn Red and I had to be alone together. When our eyes met, we both saw the anxiety in each other's eyes. What are we waiting for? Since we can't leave, let's grab some supplies from the group. I grabbed my phone and started operating, buying a ton of stuff. Fortunately, with precise control measures, only our neighborhood was locked down. The outside world was normal, and there was no shortage of supplies and manpower. Soon, community workers delivered the supplies to our door. When I opened the plastic bag, a small box meant to prevent human proliferation slid out first. The packaging had 3 very glaring words that almost blinded me. I froze. I could feel Lynn Red behind me freezing as well. His scrutinizing gaze was hovering over me. A tiny box seemed to weigh a ton. After a while, Lynn Red said, "Are you waiting for me to help you come up with an excuse?" Lynn Red, listen, I didn't buy this. I don't know how it got here. He looked skeptical. I was on the brink of a breakdown. Help. How could I buy this thing? I'm not crazy. Whether you're crazy or not, he paused slightly. It's hard to say. Hinting at last night's incident, I was more or less doomed. Lynn Red, let me explain. Look at this chat record. I never asked for this. You could place a separate order, and then delete the record. Impossible. No need for that. He smirked, but I can understand. I breathed a sigh of relief. I'm glad you understand. I look good, and my main strength is my work ability. It's normal for you to have such thoughts. What thoughts? He raised his eyelids, desiring my body. At that moment, I felt a bit desperate, but the competitive spirit took over my mind. So I thought of a clever retort and said, if I really had those thoughts, I wouldn't need to buy this. Later, the community came to tell me that the supplies had been delivered to the wrong address. The bag we received was someone else's purchase. I was so moved I almost started singing. Thank you, I proudly said. I'm innocent, but because of my flirty comment, Lynn Red no longer trusted me. He even zipped up his jacket to the top, covering his ankles with his socks, like a chastity belt. It was New Year's Eve. Despite all the chaos, the new year had to be celebrated. However, facing a pile of ingredients left by my parents, I was very troubled. How about cooking noodles tonight? I assumed Lynn Red wouldn't be able to cook. Who knew? He rolled up his sleeves and headed straight to the kitchen. For the next 2 hours, I watched in amazement as he prepared a full New Year's Eve dinner. Incredible. Not only did it look good, but it tasted great too. We sat in front of the TV, eating, chatting, and watching the Spring Festival Gala. Unexpectedly, Lynn Red and I had very similar interests. Our favorite movies, songs, and even our attitudes toward sharp current affairs were almost identical. It felt like meeting an old friend who had been absent for a long time. In the afternoon, we couldn't stand each other, but now we couldn't stop chatting, and our impressions of each other changed. After dinner, Lynn Reed's mom sent a video call. I willingly played the role of his girlfriend. His mom was very pleased, and even added me on Weshit to send me a red envelope. I asked Lynn Red, how did I do? Very well. Then shouldn't I get a reward? I'm going to send a red envelope in the company group. You can sit next to me and grab it. I immediately moved over. I thought, as soon as he sent it, I could grab it and definitely get something. When I was ready, Lynn Red sent out 200. I clicked immediately. I managed to grab it. but only a few cents. He sent another one. This time, a little better. 3 yuan. I was on the verge of tears. Why is my luck so bad? Why can't I get the best luck? Lin Red said, I'll send another one. He sent. I grabbed. He sent again. I grabbed again. After countless red envelopes, I finally had best luck. I jumped up happily. When I turned around, I saw Lin Red looking at me, with a faint smile on his lips. How annoying. Why does he look a bit gentle? This Lin Red feels unfamiliar to me. It's like I accidentally glimpsed a different side of my boss. So, behind the stern facade, he actually has a gentle side too. I glanced at the group chat. Our small team chat was already buzzing. Colleague A, can you believe Lin Red gave out so many red envelopes this year? So generous. Colleague B, yeah, usually executives just give 3 or 4 as a token gesture, but this year he's really splurging. I was so focused on grabbing the envelopes that I hadn't even noticed how many Lin Red had sent out. I checked the big group chat and saw that he'd given away several thousand. It was as if he deliberately waited until I got the best luck before stopping. The big group chat was also tagging me. Colleague A, Ruth Warner, Planning Department. You're amazing. You got every single envelope. Colleague B, haha, I noticed too. Every envelope had her name. I replied, oh, but the ones I grabbed earlier were only a few cents. Colleague A, that's fine. When you add them up, it's a lot. Colleague B, it feels like you were right next to Lin Red grabbing them. Cough. I had a guilty feeling of being found out. I quickly sent a red envelope back to the group to calm the public anger. After I sent it, Lin Red sent me a message separately. Reward for the little actress. That night, Lin Red stayed in my room while I moved to my parents' bedroom. Before going to sleep, I received a WeChat message from him. President's office. Lin Red, what would you like to eat tomorrow? Me, can I still order? President's office. Lin Red, I'll make an exception for you. I couldn't help but smile. The ribs from tonight were delicious. I'd like to have them again. President's office. Lin Red, okay. There's a bag of them in the fridge. I secretly changed his contact name to Lin Red. I didn't expect Lin Red to cook. Lin Red, I live alone. Cooking is a necessary skill. Me, haven't you had a girlfriend? Lin Red, I did a long time ago, but I was too busy with work, couldn't keep up, and got dumped. Me, I thought you and Paige Mond were a couple. Lin Red, why do you think that? Me, everyone in the company thinks so. She's your top subordinate. It's hard not to imagine you two as a couple. A lot of people even ship you two. Lin Red, do you talk about these things privately? Me, did I reveal something? Lin Red, looks like we need more thought training. Me, what can I say? I'm too scared to say a word. I changed his contact name again to Devil. Too much talk leads to trouble. I should go watch the Spring Festival gala and vent. But after a while, he managed again. Lin Red, let me make a statement. Lin Red, Paige Mond and I are just colleagues. Through the screen, I could almost picture his serious expression as he explained. My heart felt a little jolted. There was a kind of indescribable joy. However, this newly sprouted joy was soon extinguished by Lin Red himself, because the next morning, I woke up in my own bed. His face was right beside my pillow. Lin Red was already awake, staring at me expressionlessly. I panicked. I was really panicking. My first reaction was to jump out of bed, trembling as I looked at him. Explain, he said, his voice still hoarse from just waking up. I don't know. You don't know again. I struggled to recall and remembered. In the middle of the night, I got up to go to the bathroom, but only my body woke up. My brain was still asleep. I forgot that I had moved to the master bedroom. So I instinctively returned to my old room. I went straight to bed, not noticing the person next to me. Lin Red didn't believe my explanation at all. I tried to shift the blame. Lin Red, you can't blame everything on me. Didn't you notice someone else was next to you? I don't move around when I sleep, and I slept deeply last night. After our chat, I trusted you enough not to lock the door. But I didn't expect, Ruth Warner. You really have some guts. I'm innocent. I swear it was unintentional. Lin Red sat up, resting one leg and his arm on his knee. Without his glasses and with his short hair a bit disheveled, he looked very casual. Ruth Warner, I need to remind you of something. Yeah. Even if you use all means to be with me, I won't help you with the planning. I don't know if I'm human, but Lynn Red is definitely a dog. If he weren't my boss, I would have made him bleed on the first day of the new year. I grabbed my laptop and went back to my parents' room, not wanting to see him for a second longer. I opened the plan and was at a loss. Thinking that it was something he had asked me to redo only made me angrier. I typed furiously, looking like I was brimming with ideas. In reality, I was venting to my best friend. She was probably still asleep and hadn't replied, but after venting, I felt a lot better and refocused on my work. An hour later, as I got into the groove and inspiration struck, my phone vibrated. I opened the voice message. Is it your harsh, selfish, cold-blooded, ruthless but a bit handsome boss? I was about to smile. Suddenly, I felt a chill. I slowly looked up. Lynn Red was leaning against the doorframe, looking at me with a blank expression. The scene was extremely awkward. I felt like I'd never be able to clear my name even if I jumped into the Yellow River. Great, just great, my good friend, my godlike teammate. Not sure how much Lynn Red heard, I cautiously asked, what are you doing here? To take you to lunch. Oh, Lynn Red, you're impressive. You go ahead, I'll be right there. But he didn't move. Ruth Warner, I need to ask you something. Don't ask. Lynn Red snorted, cold-blooded, ruthless, and inhumane. All right, seeing how scared you are, I won't hold it against you. Really, so nice. But you need to clarify. He changed the subject. What does a bit handsome mean? Just a bit. Your focus seems off. It's your look that's off. With the reflection from his glasses, half bright and half dim, Lynn Red pointed to himself. I hope you understand. I'm not just a bit handsome. Ah yes, yes, Lynn Red is super handsome. He seemed slightly satisfied. Let's eat. I sighed with relief. For the next few days, things went smoothly between us. To thoroughly understand the plan, I worked really hard, even more than usual during the holidays. Lynn Red didn't offer much guidance, focusing entirely on being the chef. One night, I worked until past midnight before going to bed, but as soon as I lay down, my stomach growled. Unable to sleep due to hunger, I messaged Lynn Red. Me, boss, are you asleep? Lynn Red, no, what's up? Me, I calculated the situation. It's bad, it's already this late. Lynn Red, stop talking. Eat. Me, but eating now will make me gain weight. Lynn Red, no, if you eat quickly enough, the calories won't catch up with you. Makes so much sense. As expected of the boss. But then I wondered, what should I eat? There aren't any snacks at home, so I asked Lynn Red again. Me, boss, is there a late night diner? Lynn Red, I'm already in bed. Me, I want to eat your spring noodles. Lynn Red, I'm already in bed. Me, they're really good. The pork fat is the soul, and every noodle is wrapped in flavor. Lynn Red, I'm already in bed. Me, the more I think about it, the hungrier I get. Really. Lynn Red, shut up. Shay, it seems like I'm fated to not have spring noodles tonight. But not long after, I heard the kitchen sliding door. I dashed out. Lynn Red, good evening. What a coincidence to meet at this hour. Lynn Red was unimpressed, snorting coldly. What are you doing in the kitchen? I asked with a smile. What do you think? He rolled up his sleeves, the fluorescent light turning his arms cold white. A piece of pork fat was brought out. Your spring noodles, more onions or less? Since I was absorbed in the plan, and couldn't always keep an eye on the group chat, Lynn Red was responsible for grabbing the groceries. And as he was the chef, he knew better what to buy than I did. Today, while I was busy writing the PPT, Lynn Red peeked in excitedly. Ruth Warner. Hey. As soon as he called my name, I stiffened reflexively. I got chicken legs and pork belly today. Whoa. Awesome. Lynn Red, you're truly a lucky star. I admire you so much. It's not that difficult, he said modestly. By the way, I've been thinking about something these past 2 days. What is it? Considering how hard you've been working, I'm thinking of giving you some guidance. Me, oh, no need. I've scheduled Andrew Charles for today. His plans are well liked by the client, so I'll have him help me. Andrew Charles is an older male colleague with rich work experience. But when Lin Red heard this, his face darkened. Then you can consult him. He slammed the door shut. I was a bit confused. Did he get angry because I was consulting Andrew Charles? First, let's rule out jealousy. It was more likely that he thought I was being lazy by seeking outside help. I considered explaining further when Andrew Charles called. We talked about work. Suddenly, the person who slammed the door earlier came back. Ruth Warner, don't blame me for not warning you. If you do this, you still won't pass. Me. Andrew Charles on the phone. Who's talking? I whispered. Are you eavesdropping outside the door? Lin Red crossed his arms, looking righteous. Just passing by. Happened to overhear. Andrew Charles. Wait, this voice sounds familiar. Ruth Warner. Who's with you? It sounds so much like Lin Red, but I know it can't be him. Haha, it's me. You guessed it right, but no prize. Lin Red stood directly behind me, staring coldly at Andrew Charles on the screen. Andrew Charles was stunned. He looked as if his internet had crashed. Then, the next second, he hung up, abandoning me. Lin Red sat down next to me. Coincidentally, he's gone. Let me help you with the plan. Is now the time to say that? I rubbed my forehead in distress. Boss, you know you might be misunderstood by colleagues. Then explain it to him later. Don't make it sound so easy. It's the New Year holiday, and you're showing up at my home. Do you like Andrew Charles? He suddenly asked. No, I mean, I like him as a colleague, that's all. Then is there anyone in the company you like? No. Then what are you afraid of? He said calmly. If it's just rumors, they will settle down eventually. If. His words seemed to have a deeper meaning. But there was no time to ponder, as Lin Red had already started looking at my plan. Here, I have a better suggestion. Work is the top priority. I put everything else aside, and focused on keeping up with his thoughts. Lin Red explained for quite a while. I have to say, he's really good and helped me improve a lot. At the end, he picked up his phone. I once did a plan that might be useful to you. I've forwarded it to you. Take a look when you have time. Okay, thanks. Lin Red. I opened Weshit on my computer, and his message was at the top. Lin Red. He frowned slightly. I broke into a cold sweat. Oh no, I can't explain. Last time, I could shift the blame to my best friend since she wasn't in our company, so I wasn't worried about offending him. This time, however, I was caught red-handed. But Lin Red wasn't angry. He said, on the first day at your house, I asked you if you were afraid of me, and you said no. But I think you were lying. Later, I noticed that you're sometimes stiff in front of me. Ruth Warner, are you really that afraid of me? I gritted my teeth. Yes, because you're strict. I'm actually quite afraid of being scolded by you. Over time, I've developed a habit. When you call me by my full name, I feel like you're about to reprimand me, and I reflexively get nervous. Lin Red pondered. His face revealed no emotion. After a while, he stood up. You've been working hard these past few days. I've seen it. Do a good job on the plan, and I'll commend you when we return to the company. Pausing, he added, from now on, I'll try to call you by your name less. Then how should he address me? Like how Morong Yunhai called Chu Yugjun. Hey. That's fine. I don't mind. After he left, I sighed in relief. Under Andrew Charles' curious questioning, I explained the whole story. Andrew Charles was tight-lipped, so I wasn't worried. He even said that Lin Red never personally mentors anyone, and that I was an exception. Lin Red's exceptions these past few days seemed numerous. After sealing the door, he was the one cooking. Since I was busy with the plan, I often couldn't help much. Feeling increasingly embarrassed, I quickly put down my laptop and went to help in the kitchen. Just in time, with the aroma filling the room, Lin Red was bringing out my favorite sweet and sour ribs and said to me, "Dinner is served, darling." I was a bit shocked by Lin Red calling me by my nickname, but he seemed calm, thinking it was just a natural way to address me. I gave in. If he preferred to call me that, so be it. Lin Red also didn't let me call him Lin Red privately. After much discussion, I decided to call him Lin Red. With his guidance, I finished the plan quickly. With one day left of the holiday, I could finally indulge in watching videos. I picked a few highly rated horror movies. The result was, I got scared. At night, with the lights on, I struggled to fall asleep. Lynn Red was in the shower, listening to the sound of the shower. I thought about going to chat with him, and then falling asleep when I was tired. However, he wasn't finished yet, and suddenly, everything went dark. A power outage. Are you kidding me? The curse phenomenon of power outages during horror movies is happening to me. I was terrified, turned on my phone's flashlight, and groped my way to the door. Lynn Red, are you done with the shower? The sound of the shower had stopped, but through the door, there was no noise coming from the bathroom. Blood-curdling scenes from horror movies flashed in my mind. My eyes hadn't adjusted to the dark, and the surroundings felt chillingly cold. I pounded on the bathroom door, almost crying. Lynn Red, please say something. I'm scared. Lynn Red flung the door open. What's there to be afraid of? He paused, his tone softening. Are you crying? I watched a horror movie today. Don't be scared. I'll go check the circuit breaker. I'll come with you. I reached out to pull him. Lynn Red grasped my hand in return and led me to the living room. The circuit breaker didn't work, and outside was pitch dark. It seemed the entire neighborhood was out of power. As expected, the property management in the group said they were working on repairs but didn't know when it would be fixed. Lynn Red said, just in case, turn off your phone's flashlight. It's draining the battery. I turned it off, and the room was instantly enveloped in darkness. I was even more panicked. It's so dark. It's okay. I'm here. Lynn Red seemed to move a bit closer. I could vaguely smell shampoo. Feeling him nearby reassured me a lot. Can you stay with me? I pleaded softly. I'm really scared. Okay. Lynn Red held my hand tightly. I won't leave. We sat on the sofa, close to each other, holding hands tightly. He talked to me about a lot of things, from his university days to awkward situations after graduation. I quickly became engrossed in our conversation. It turned out he wasn't always as strong as he seemed. He had worked much harder than we did. After sharing his personal experiences, Lynn Red and I reminisced about movies we had watched and cities we had visited. The sense of reliance became addictive, and I unconsciously leaned closer to him. He also leaned in slightly, almost pulling me into his embrace. Just as I was getting absorbed in the conversation, the lights came back on. I squinted, and a well-defined chest appeared before my eyes. Lynn Red wasn't wearing a shirt. To be precise, he had hurriedly left the bathroom with only his pants on, and though he wore a jacket, it wasn't buttoned up. So, everything was on full display, and when the lights came on, it was evident that our hands were still intertwined, which felt a bit awkward. I quickly pulled my hand away, my face burning. Okay, you can go back to your shower. Lynn Red raised an eyebrow, looking at his suddenly empty hand. So, you're heartless, just used me, and then pushed me away. I just didn't want you to catch a cold. You have the heating on high. I'm not cold. He walked back to the bathroom, lazily waving at me. I'll continue my shower. Don't be afraid. If anything happens, just call me like before. Okay. Thank you. Lynn Red smiled. Maybe it was because I had rarely seen him smile before. It felt like a small, gentle impact on my heart. The project was completed, and the annual leave ended, but our neighborhood was still under lockdown. Both Lynn Red and I took leave. Andrew Charles kept his promise and didn't leak anything, but news of our cohabitation still spread. The location data we submitted during our leave was screenshot and shared. It clearly showed that Lynn Red and I were checking in at the same area. Colleagues who were close to me quietly asked about it. Of course, I denied it, but some were absolutely certain. For instance, Lynn Reed's assistant, Paige Mond. My project was done under Lynn Reed's direct supervision. Submitting it was just a formality, and it would be immediately approved by him. However, the proposal was sent back at Paige Mond's level. Paige Mond tagged me in the project group. Is this your work? I replied, of course. Executive Office, Paige Mond. There's a huge difference between this and your pre-holiday version. I can't believe someone could improve so much just over a break. What does that mean? Executive Office, Paige Mond. Your proposal contains many elements I've seen before. I need an explanation. The company detests copying others' ideas. As requested, I explained, but she didn't believe me, and mentioned she might bring it up in the larger group. I was so frustrated I wanted to throw my phone. You ask for an explanation, but don't believe it, so what's the point? Lynn Red wasn't in this small group. He was unaware of the situation. During lunch, he noticed my downcast mood and I told him what had happened. I thought Paige Mond, being his assistant, would advise me to overlook it considering the bigger picture, but to my surprise, as Lynn Red listened, his expression grew darker. He got up and said he needed to make a phone call. After a while, the food was getting cold, and I thought about advising him to eat first. But when I reached the door, I heard muffled arguments. Yes, I'm at her place. This is a private matter and doesn't concern you. The proposal was something I taught her to write. What's the issue? Paige Mond, you have no right to be dissatisfied. I'm officially notifying you that Ruth Warner is under my protection, and no one can touch her. Later, Lynn Red personally intervened in the project group and approved my proposal. The matter was resolved. After working from home for a week, we finally got the news that the neighborhood was reopening. On the night before our return to freedom, I was so excited that I couldn't sleep. Lynn Red felt the same way. Through the wall, we were chatting on Weshit. Lynn Red, can I ask you something? Me, sure. Lynn Red, do you still think about your ex? Me, a scumbag isn't worth thinking about. It's a waste of time. I want to look forward. Lynn Red sent me a thumbs up. He said, during this time, I've changed my opinion of you. At the company, you don't talk much, and I thought you were introverted, but actually, you're serious, proactive, and have a good work attitude. Me, thank you for the compliment. Lynn Red tilde. Me, actually, I've also changed my opinion of you. I used to think you were cold-hearted, but I didn't expect you to cook and be so kind. Lynn Red, I'll tell you a secret. Me, HMM. Lynn Red, aside from my family, you're the only one who has eaten my cooking. My heart skipped a beat, and I couldn't help but smile. The feeling of being someone's exception is addictive. Lynn Red asked, are you listening to music? I heard some sound. Me, oh, sorry, did I disturb you? Lynn Red, no. What are you listening to? I'd like to hear it too. I shared the music that was playing. Then, he went silent. I thought he had fallen asleep, so I watched some variety shows. After a while, Lynn Red replied. Lynn Red, I've learned it. Me. He sent a 60-second voice message. I played it. He was singing the song. His voice was low and deep, with every syllable hitting my heart. I was about to explode. The air seemed to turn sweet. Lynn Red, wait, why am I singing to you on Weshit? I was stunned. Did he realize the discrepancy in our relationship? But then he said, come out. Let's celebrate the reopening tomorrow in the living room. I jumped out of bed immediately. There was still some alcohol in the fridge. We had a great time with a drink in one hand and a game controller in the other. Empty bottles piled up. We both gradually got a bit drunk. Lynn Reed's Mario jumped around, making me dizzy. Stop bouncing around. I gently kicked him. He caught my ankle in return. Why aren't you wearing socks? Your feet are cold. He put my feet into his jacket. Underneath the jacket was his warmth, which felt very comforting. I said impulsively, Lynn Red. Lynn Red. Can I call you that? Sure. Fueled by the alcohol, I snuggled up to him like a koala. Lynn Red. Kiss me. I was crazy. I must be crazy to say that, but my brain wouldn't listen. So I looked at him expectantly. Lynn Reed's gaze deepened. He suddenly took off his glasses and kissed me. The next morning, history repeated itself. I woke up in my own bed, with Lynn Reed's face close to mine. The difference this time was, things had gone beyond a simple kiss. Lynn Red was still asleep. I dared not make a sound, feeling both anxious and expectant. There was no doubt our relationship had progressed. My phone vibrated under the pillow. It was Lynn Reed's. I quietly moved the phone aside but glimpsed the text preview on the screen. Paige Mond, it's been several days, and I still don't understand. You've always been opposed to marriage and have refused romantic advances over the years. So why? I couldn't see the rest. It was like a bucket of cold water waking me up. He's opposed to marriage. What am I expecting? Lynn Red stirred, almost waking up. I grabbed my clothes and hurriedly left. In the shower, my mind was blank. Last night, he hadn't mentioned anything about responsibility. Maybe living together every day had led us to impulses that shouldn't have been there. The neighborhood was reopening. Once I stepped out the door, he would still be Lynn Red, and I would still be just a small player at the company. What was I naively hoping for? In the end, I came to a conclusion. Since the outcome would be the same, I needed to take the initiative. After my shower, Lynn Red was awake, making toast. He looked awkwardly away when he saw me. Guilt was evident. Baby, I need to talk to you. Coincidentally, I also have something to say. Let me go first. You go ahead. I forced a smile I had practiced in the shower. Last night was just an accident. We're adults, and everyone understands. You don't need to feel pressured. Let's consider this matter closed and not bring it up again. Lynn Red looked stunned for a moment. Is that how you feel? Yes. Insisting on responsibility would only burden the other person. I understand. Burden. He lowered his head, remaining silent for a long time. Finally, he quietly responded with a, okay. Lynn Red left that day. I was used to exchanging messages through a wall for over 10 days. After he left, there were no more messages on Weshit. Instead, discussions about him began again in various company groups. A colleague posted a photo of the executive office, and said, Lynn Red is back. No more slacking off. In the photo, he looked just as I remembered, in a sharp suit, with thin framed glasses, looking professional and calm. I returned to the office a day later than him. Colleagues told me I arrived just in time, because Lynn Red had come by the office yesterday, and was now sent on a business trip by the chairman. He wouldn't be back for at least a week or two. It was a good thing. It meant I wouldn't have to face him awkwardly for at least a week. But at the same time, I felt uncontrollably disappointed. The Weshit conversations from the past 10 days were still there, about cooking, listening to music, playing games, etc. We had shared everything, but now, the dream was over. The insurmountable hierarchy was the true state of our relationship. To help myself move on, I worked even harder, spending much time studying and working overtime. On the 4th day of Lynn Reed's business trip, a new refrigerator suddenly appeared in the office. Colleagues started gossiping. Finally, a new fridge. The old one was used for too long, and the food I brought in had strange smells. So touching. The facilities department finally heard our requests. SHH. It wasn't the facilities department. Then who was it? It was Lynn Red, who arranged it. I couldn't help but lift my head, listening to their gossip. Lynn Red usually doesn't get involved in these things. He has a fridge in his own office. Why suddenly help us replace it? I don't know. Maybe someone mentioned it to him. That's nonsense. Who would dare complain about the fridge to Lynn Red? Indeed, who would be idle enough to complain about a fridge to him? Andrew Charles gave me a knowing look. Is it you? It has nothing to do with me. Yes, it is. You posted on your moments last night, and today Lynn Red arranged for a new fridge. TSK. I was stunned and suddenly remembered that I had indeed posted on moments while working late. I had said the office fridge smelled too strong, and I almost fainted when I opened it. Could it be because of me? Similar things happened again later. For example, I posted on moments about having neck pain from resting my head on the desk during lunch. The next day, everyone in the office received a folding army bed. Or, I shared a link to a newly opened cake shop. The next day, a large cake was delivered to the office, said to be from Lynn Red as a treat for everyone. All these signs pointed to him observing me in secret. I was very troubled, and went to confide in my best friend. She calculated and said I had fallen for Lynn Red. She advised me that since I liked him, I should make a move. Given our current awkward relationship, even if it failed, it wouldn't be worse than now. This little demon persuaded me with just a few words. I decided to take a chance, go all in, and try for a bigger reward. After much consideration, I sent Lynn Red a Weshit message. Hi, are you busy? I'd like to discuss something personal with you. It's been bothering me, and I need to clear things up. If you're interested, please give me a call. If not, just ignore this message. I waited a long time without receiving a reply, and no phone call came. A day passed, and I was feeling very down. Even if he was busy, it's impossible he didn't see the message at all. He just didn't want to reply. It seemed I had been wishful thinking. At nearly midnight, I decided to stop waiting. Just as I silenced my phone, Lynn Reed's call came in. Baby, did you send me a message? He asked immediately. I didn't see it. What did you say? Me. You didn't see it. Right. Then how did you know to call me back? Lynn Red was taken aback, then became more anxious. What's wrong? Your chat was deleted by someone, so I didn't see it. Lynn Red didn't hide anything from me. His business trip was hurried, and the chairman had arranged for Page Mond to accompany him. As his assistant, Page Mond occasionally had the privilege of replying to work Weshit messages on his behalf. Earlier today, Lynn Red took a nap in the car and asked Page Mond to keep an eye on Weshit. If a client messaged, he should wake him up immediately. However, the message came from me. In fact, Page Mond would always see my messages first, because I am pinned at the top of Lynn Reed's Weshit. It was probably around that time that Page Mond quietly deleted our chat thread. In the afternoon, Lynn Red was extremely busy and had social events in the evening. Just now, when he returned to his hotel room and wanted to review our chat history, he found that the pinned chat was gone. He realized someone had tampered with his Weshit. He was angry, but his first reaction was to call me. Lynn Red asked again, "What did you send me?" "Not much," I said, gathering my courage. "I just wanted to ask if you like me." "Yes, I do." He didn't hesitate, which caught me off guard. "I'm not referring to a colleague's appreciation, but, darling, I like you as a man likes a woman." My heart raced. "Really? Really? I like you too." "That's great." Lynn Red sighed with relief. "Darling, will you be my girlfriend?" "No." He was momentarily stunned. I explained, "I know you're against marriage, and I haven't decided if I want to enter a relationship that's destined to have no outcome." Lynn Red, against marriage? Who told you that? I mentioned that I had seen his Weshit messages by accident. Lynn Red said, "To be honest, I used to have a strong aversion to marriage because of pressure from my family. But darling, I really like you. I used to think living alone was the best state, but over the past half-month, the happiness I've experienced is beyond what I could imagine when living alone. Darling, you've given me a new hope for the future." Lynn Red, "What is it about me that you like?" "There are many reasons, or aspects," Lynn Red pondered, "but mainly, being with you feels very harmonious. You make me feel something I haven't felt in a long time." "What is it?" "The desire to share." I smiled knowingly and instantly understood. People only develop a desire to share when they receive feedback that makes them feel good, and I believe this is one of the most important prerequisites for love. After a long day at work, everyone wants someone to talk to, whether it's about the same song, or simply telling each other about a flower seen today, or what groceries were bought. "Darling," Lynn Red said seriously, "before, when I was stuck at home with limited ingredients, I made do with what I could get. Actually, I know how to cook many more dishes that could last you a long time without repeating. Would you give me a chance?" He broke the rules, using food to tempt me. Am I someone who can be easily tempted? Yes, I am. After Lynn Red returned from his business trip, my life took a dramatic turn. To sum it up, during the day, I called him Lynn Red at the office, and at night, I called him husband, respecting my wishes. We kept our relationship a secret from any colleagues. To me, Lynn Red seemed very split. For example, today, when there was a business mistake, he exploded in the conference room. We all kept our heads down, afraid to say a word. After the meeting, a colleague, still shaken, said to me, "I thought today was the end for us here." I forced a smile. The whole day, because of the mistake, Lynn Red had a stern face. The office atmosphere was extremely tense, and no one dared to speak loudly, fearing to disturb the president's office next door. But in the evening, Lynn Red threw his tie on the floor. His shirt collar loosened. He cornered me at the entrance and kissed me. I thought of how he had lost his temper at work. In the middle of the kiss, he breathed out softly, "I really like you." I was like, so split, so split. I said, "You scared me today. Did you know?" His eyes were dark and tender. "Should I apologize?" "That's okay." So he took off his glasses, hugged me again, and kissed me while whispering, "Darling, don't be mad." Meanwhile, Page Mond had been given the cold shoulder for a while. She must have been quite tormented, as she sent Lynn Red a heartfelt letter expressing her admiration. Lynn Red proactively showed me the text. Then, Lynn Red told her everything about us. The next day, Page Mond came to the office, requesting a private chat with Lynn Red, but he refused. Lynn Red insisted that I be present, refusing to meet with her alone. I noticed that Paige Mon's eyes were red and swollen. She must have stayed up crying, ignoring my presence. She broke down in tears. It turned out she had liked Lynn Red for many years. However, Lynn Red was known for his aversion to marriage and had rejected all female advances. She feared that confessing would ruin their friendship. 6 months ago, she had a chance for a promotion, but she turned it down to stay close to him. While she was still lost in her self-sacrificing fantasy, Lynn Red had quietly opened up to me. She felt it was very unfair. If we talk about effort, her work ethic was second to none. Otherwise, she wouldn't have reached her current position. If we talk about looks, she was undoubtedly a recognized beauty. Paige Mond asked Lynn Red earnestly, if there had to be a special case, why couldn't it be me? Lynn Red didn't answer her, because the question has no answer. A special case is just that, unpredictable and unplanned. Just like Lynn Red never expected that the seemingly introverted girl in the office would be so compatible with him, I also didn't guess that the seemingly ruthless boss would have such a considerate and gentle side. Fortunately, I didn't miss it. Paige Mon gave up and voluntarily transferred to another branch, which Lynn Red agreed to. In the end, she turned to me and said, the biggest mistake I made was deleting your chat thread. Not really, I hadn't intended to intrude on their conversation, but I couldn't help but say, the real mistake you made was turning down that promotion opportunity. Paige Mond was stunned. How could you give up your future for an uncertain man? It's such a pity. I can't understand it. You're so excellent. If you focus on yourself, many people will love you. Paige Mond's expression was complex. After a long pause, she finally smiled with relief. You're right. I apologize. Afterward, Paige Mon no longer contacted Lynn Red. She didn't stay long at the branch. She quickly changed jobs and moved on with her life. After we started dating, Lynn Red introduced me to his friends, and I immediately picked up on their demeanor. Are you? I'll say it first because I have a big chest. Lynn Red his friends. Me, thanks, bro. You're the best matchmaker ever. Big chest. Ha ha ha. You both owe me a meal. I also introduced Lynn Red to my best friend. Best friend, oh, so this is your... I frantically signaled her. Lynn Red smiled. Yes, I'm the boss who's harsh, selfish, cold-hearted, and ruthless but a bit handsome. Me best friend. I revealed Lynn Reed's identity to my family. My mother was thrilled. Lynn Red was so much better than my previous lousy ex. However, our relationship remained underground. I always thought our relationship would stay hidden until one of us changed jobs. One noon, a year after we started dating, I went out for lunch with 2 colleagues. One female colleague suddenly had a stomachache and left early. Only Andrew Charles and I remained. As we chatted and gossiped, I suddenly felt a chilling gaze from the doorway. It was Lynn Red. What was he doing here? Clearly, he was jealous. He turned his head silently, as if he hadn't seen me, and walked away. I had no choice but to tell Andrew Charles the first was full, and headed back to the office early. Today, remarkably, the office was empty, with no colleagues around. Lynn Red was alone in his office, sulking. I explained that I wasn't having lunch alone with a male colleague. He retaliated by pulling me close, and kissing me against the desk before the door was even closed. The kiss left me breathless. Darling, can I have lunch with you from now on? Didn't we say not to call me, darling, at work? Ruth Warner. He used to call me that, and it made me anxious. But today, not only was I not anxious, I was a little weak in the knees. He noticed. Ruth Warner, take off my glasses. His voice was deep and low, like a vortex pulling me under. The office was empty except for us kissing. There was a thud behind us. A file folder dropped, and a colleague stared at us in shock. There's someone else here. I tried to move aside, but Lynn Red held me tightly. Unable to escape, he calmly said, please close the door. Thank you. Okay. The colleagues shivered as they hurried to close the door. By that afternoon, the entire company knew. I checked the small group chat. Colleague A, did you hear Lynn Red and Ruth Warner are dating? It's so explosive. I heard Lynn Red kisses with intense desire. Why didn't I see it live? Colleague B, I want to see too. Colleague C, friendly reminder. Ruth Warner is also in this group. Colleague AB, withdraw. Later, we got married. When the officiant asked us to kiss, our colleagues cheered the loudest. The scene was dazzling with lights. I felt like I was back on that day with the hairpin, heading for the date. And Lynn read, from being my boss, turned into my boyfriend. Ultimately, he became my husband. Our future will keep getting better, and so will yours. This story has ended. Please subscribe to the channel to get the latest updates. New novels are updated daily.